How you doing, everybody? It's Friday the 6th of August 2010, and it's kind of late on the evening, and I just wanted to touch on two things if I could today. The first thing I want to talk about was, I've been away, and I got back there late last week. When I was away, I had lots of time to spend time on the internet, as it were. And one of the things that I noticed was there seems to be a big, I think, a bit perplexed about the thing, and maybe I don't understand it. I'm not a professional economist. I only dabble in this thing. I'm much more interested in politics, but people tell me the two are inexorably linked, as it were, and they're probably right. They probably do overlap a lot, but a lot of people throw a lot of cold water on my concept that ideology is very, very important. Anyway, one of the things that I find is extraordinary, listening to all this, I was on listening to these fellas, Mark Farber and Jimmy Rogers and Max Kaiser and all these various people, and then the fellas that we all know, the likes of Nick and the Modern Mystic and all that. They all seem to be having apoplectic fits about this business, about whether or not we're in deflation or inflation. And I find all this an extraordinary bit of business. I really do. I mean, to me, the whole economic thing is, it's not one solidified mass. It doesn't act in unison. It's all these hundreds and thousands of individual markets, and they all have their own momentum to a large extent. I had a little think about it, as I say, while I was away, and the way I see it is that we've entered a serious era of depression, recession, whatever you want to call it, over the last 2 years, and big companies and big corporations and banks and everybody else has deleveraged, and so have human beings, ordinary punters on the ground. They've deleveraged as far as possible. So the natural ramifications for that are deflationary. That is a deflationary situation where people are trying to unload their debt, and in unloading their debt, they're basically trying to pay off their indebtedness, and they're not buying anything, they're not acquiring anything. So that's a deflationary thing. But within that, there is another order, which is a natural order, and the natural order is that they have to consume food. They have to buy things, they consume them on a daily basis, because unlike the Modern Mystic, the vast majority of people have to grow their own food. They can't grow their own food. They don't have the wherewithal, and they don't have the space. The Modern Mystic's living in France and surrounded by a fair bit of acreage there, and he can, he has the space to do what he's doing, and all power to him, and I would congratulate him. But the vast majority of people don't have the wherewithal, the physical wherewithal to do it, and they don't have the knowledge and ability to do it, probably. But they still have to eat 3 meals a day. And we just see, just in passing, how our friends the Russians have now cut down all their exports of wheat, and we're going to see how, like, from what I can see, looking at it today, I've put a link up to it on the BBC, and you can have a wee look at it. It seems to have virtually doubled over the last. The prices seem to have gone up double. So that's bound to impact on all sorts of things. It's going to impact on wheat proper, on flour, on everything to do with bacon, on and cooking, and everything to do with beers and anything to do with malting, any of the malting processes. So it's going to have a big spin-off. So I don't see what the problem is about that. From a capital point of view, people are not spending money on cars. They're not buying houses. I'm talking about from an Irish point of view here, obviously. I mean, in some countries they are, but in Ireland, property prices have collapsed, and car prices have gone way down, and they're trying to get us to buy cars using all sorts of shenanigans. And I see the latest thing is from GM that they're trying to introduce what would you call it? It's one of these service gimmicks where they repair your car for its lifetime. It's a warranty, guarantee a warranty. They'll cover any major parts for the lifetime of the car, I think it's 100,000 maize they're going to cover, which would be, I don't know, 6 or 7 or 8 years. It's 8 years, isn't it, for the average person? An extraordinary bit of business. So there's obviously deflation going on there, otherwise they wouldn't do that. And but I think from a food point of view, there's no doubt. From a food and an energy point of view, it's not getting cheaper. Energy's not getting cheaper. People may point out and say, oh, well, oil's going down in price and oil isn't what it was a year ago. But it hasn't percolated down to the ordinary Joe on the street. We're still paying high energy prices for our electricity supply and for our petrol at the pumps. I don't see petrol getting any cheaper. And I don't see electricity or natural gas getting any cheaper. So that's the story. I think there's a duality at work, and that's really all I wanted to say. That's all. I don't see what the big problem is and why people should be having trying to assert their ideology over somebody else about whether or not we're in a deflationary or an inflationary spiral. The bottom line about it is, as I say, for capital things we obviously are, and for foodstuffs and for immediate, practical, essential elements, we're in an inflationary period that I can see. So anyway, I'll leave it up to yourselves to have a chat about that one and let me know what you think. Finally, I just want to say, I'm going to finish it off here. I've put that article up. I got it professionally scanned and I've put it up for you so you can have a look at it. Okay, I'll put it up at the end of this little snip. We'll talk later. Okay, bye.